Getting to the bottom of that just got a whole lot weirder.
I looked at you and said, repeat that. You said, I've got to get to the bottom of that. We have liftoff.
Check out what's coming up on today's episode.
Unless you're dumb.
All right, Parker Bice from the Spotify mobile app on the George Soros episode. He wanted us to do an episode or a segment on the raw milk conspiracy.
What's that?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to get to the bottom of that one.
I don't know what the raw milk is.
Have you ever had raw milk?
I do.
Well, are you talking about straight from the udder?
Yeah, you
Straight
just
from
laugh. Just straight
the
from-
cow's teat.
I have. I have not. I heard it's pretty nasty.
You have actually.
Oh, really?
I gave you some from. My
Oh, is that
house.
straight from the udder?
That's straight
I
from.
thought I was about to say I gave you shit.
What?
straight from my udder. Bro.
I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Hey, Mamma Mia!
That was yeah.
But the way you said it, yeah, you have.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we have talked about breast milk before,
We have
so.
makes good pancakes.
All right, we'll look into that, Parker, and see what's out there. I don't
I'm
know
kind
if
of
it's
interested
conspiracy,
to
but
see what that is because I drink raw milk.
yeah,
It's good for you.
yeah,
It's really good
and,
for you.
And Jason just tapped out.
Sorry,
Actually,
that was rude.
And I don't know how. And you know what? Most people will cut that out, but I'm authentic.
Keep it real.
I'm letting it stay.
It's been a long day.
Hey guys, real quick before we start the show, wanted to let you know kind of how we do things around here, how we do the podcast. If you've ever wanted to make a podcast, we use Spotify. Spotify's got a platform that lets you make a podcast really, really easy. And then they let you distribute it everywhere and even earn some money if you want a little change, ching in your pocket. And they do it all in one place. And it's for free. That's the exciting part. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. They let you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or your computer, and then they'll let you distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And if you want to take your conversations to the next level, they have really cool features like Q&A and polls, and those are the things that really get people and your fans talking about things. So with Spotify for Podcasters, you can also earn money, including ads and podcast subscriptions, and the best of all, like I said, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered it, I feel like the options of the Q&A and the video options and the polls has really let me take the creativity of my podcasting to another level. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. Dice Man Enterprises exclusively presents a talk show that will get to the bottom of things once and for all. And now here's your host for Let's Get to the Bottom of That, three weirdos on a mic.
What is up, my conspiracy nuts? Welcome into another edition of Let's Get to the Bottom of That. I'm your host, Byron Dice.
You went back to the good old time cop.
I did.
I like it.
I love.
I wanted
it,
to mix it up. That's by popular demand.
It is.
Yeah.
I got a couple in the pipe. I'm going to be throwing at us just to mix it up a bit.
Don't change it.
Well, I'm going to change it and see if you like it.
Don't change who you are.
Anyway, I'm Byron Dice. I'm joined by the other two weirdos in studio, Jason and Joey.
I'm a freak instead of a weirdo.
You're a freak?
I'm a straight
The
nut.
three freaks and the weirdos.
Yeah.
Three freaks in the studio. Three freaks on a mic. Like freaks on a leash.
freaks come out at night.
No,
dude.
it makes me think of that
Down
one
with the
quote
sickness.
from Joker from The Dark Knight when he says, "You're just a freak like me." He's
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
That's how I
It's a
feel.
good Batman reference. Well, welcome in. Today is episode 61. Today we're going to talk about who is Israel.
Why is it?
That's going to be, why is Israel?
win.
When?
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
What is
What's the
Israel?
other one? What is Israel?
How?
How is Israel? So if you don't know who Israel is, we're going to talk about that. If all you know is, hey, there's a nation over there and there's a war going on, we're going to give you some background of who these people are and why you should love them. and why you should care.
Maybe.
So get your tinfoil hats back on, sit back and relax, and let's get to the bottom of that. First, we've got some, what was I going to call it? Housekeeping.
Yeah.
I was going to make an intro for this next segment. Because I'm going to start
comments?
doing segments, the comments.
Uh-oh. Are there any good ones?
So I was just going to do something like, and now it's time for listener comments. The listeners. Something like that.
Yeah.
Is that something? No?
No.
Maybe you should come up with one.
Just let's get to the comments.
No, I like hitting buttons.
I know.
I like audio.
I know you do.
I'm going to do it anyway.
I know you
Now,
do. I know.
all right, listen. But hey, before we go there, I wanted to go over some, and I'm going to leave this just playing in the background till it goes off. I'm not going to fade it out just because I like it. It's kind of soothing.
It is.
Some of the polls that I've put out here on the Spotify mobile app, I'm just going to get a few that's had the most votes. Would you clone yourself when we did the Clone Wars?
Yeah.
And the votes are kind of almost neck and neck.
Jeez.
44% said yes, 55% said no.
I think a lot of
So
people
there's a
said,
lot of people. A lot of people said they would clone themselves.
jeez.
Not sure why, but yeah, right? Yeah. Also, there's another one. Would you actually ride in the Die Glocker? 54%.
Man.
I'm telling you, dude. These
polls don't lie.
I'm telling you, 45% said no. And that's from a huge swath of people. Right? Joey's like, 54% of what? Well, that's to be determined. Let's see. How about this one? Do you believe we're in a simulation?
That's better.
Ooh.
71% said yes. 28 said no. So a lot of people
Yeah.
actually,
it's a classroom.
yeah, actually.
I put up a good argument for that, dude.
Yeah, you did.
How do you
did.
deny it?
You can't really. It's math. All right, let's get into the comment section. If you don't know this, you can be part of the show. This is the easiest way, is just go to the Spotify mobile app. There is a question and answer section underneath our show topic. And I will usually just ask the question, unless I want to be real specific. It's usually, what did you think of this episode? So anybody can just go and comment whatever. So if you want to be part of the show, we'll shout you out on air the next time we record. Now, this is from October 17th until, actually today's the 14th. So I went a little long on this. So from the 17th to the 14th. So, hey, I think you said this name earlier, or was it you? Javier Siam won, and this was the birds we talked about because he said he said, I'll give you $2.
Yeah.
And we mentioned that, and he said, now I got to send you $2. Will do, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting on that, Javier.
Yeah. Where's it at, dude?
Matthew Long on the Spotify mobile app on the birds episode said it was great.
Yeah.
So we got at least one listener out there that thought that was a good episode.
Yeah, it was really good to play that sick joke on me.
I thought it was
time.
amazing because that's been your mantra.
Yeah.
Birds aren't real.
And you had me the whole episode.
Well, do you
Actually,
believe,
you know what?
Do you believe now that birds are real?
No, I think when we started talking about the Jason was like, oh, this is how it happened. I didn't believe it at first, but now I do. Yeah.
Where you at now, dude? After that episode,
I don't know anything anymore.
you just don't know where to stand.
I don't know where to
I tell you what, one thing is I have never looked at birds more in my life than after that episode.
That's true.
I just start looking. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm noticing they're everywhere.
Yes.
Maybe I
true.
just wasn't paying attention before, but I don't know why they just congregate on these power lines. Just thousands.
They're soaking up the energy,
And how are they not getting cancer?
recharging their batteries.
Oh, that's right.
That's
That is
what-
perfect.
Yeah, I know.
They got little things on their feet.
Yeah.
Little leads.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That makes sense. All right. Parker Bice from the Spotify mobile app on the George Soros episode. He wanted us to do an episode or a segment on the raw milk conspiracy.
What's that?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to get to the bottom of that one.
I don't know what the raw milk is.
Have you ever had raw milk?
I do.
Well,
know.
are you talking about straight from the udder?
Yeah, you
Straight
just
from
laugh.
straight cows.
I
teeth.
have, I have not. I heard it's pretty nasty.
You have actually.
Oh, really?
I gave you some from my
Oh,
house.
is that straight from the udder?
That's straight from.
I
the
was about to say I gave you shit.
What?
straight from my udder, bud.
I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Hey, Mamma Mia!
That was yeah.
But the way you said it, yeah, you
No,
have.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, we have talked about breast milk before,
We have
so
makes good pancakes.
all right. We'll look into that, Parker, and see what's out there. I don't know
I'm
if
kind of
it's
interested
conspiracy,
to
but
see what that is because I drink raw milk.
yeah,
Good for you.
yeah,
That's really good
and,
for you.
and Jason just tapped out.
Sorry, that
actually,
that was rude. of
and I
me.
don't know how. And you know what? Most people will cut that out, but I'm authentic.
Keep
Yeah,
it
don't
real.
cut
I'm letting it stay.
It's been a long day.
I don't know how to say this. Vladis Valentinivio.
Vladislav
Somebody want to take a look?
Valentinov.
I'm done with that one. Anyway, he made a comment on the
We
simulation
don't know
theory.
if it's a he.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
This username.
The simulation theory said, "Thank you for this episode. Interesting. I wrote the story based on this. If you're interested, you can check out the YouTube channel. I checked out the video. Very interesting.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Really, that's
Yeah.
awesome. What was it about? Was it just
I forgot already.
nice, dude?
It was a while.
Did you
It
really?
was a couple of weeks ago.
Did you really do it though?
Did I look at it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, y'all should go to the comments and look at it.
I want to watch it too. I just can't pull up YouTube
Yeah, because you're a loser.
because it's the devil.
You boob. Anyway, the same guy, Vlad, said on birds, this episode should have been called Penguins Aren't Birds. Changed my mind. I agree with that. And let's see, Matthew Long said on the birds episode, it was great. So we're getting a lot of love on the
Wait.
birds episode.
Scroll up like 4.
Matthew Long. I doubled that.
That's funny.
See, you shouldn't have called that out.
Dang it.
Humongous.
Uh-oh.
Did y'all? Oh, y'all didn't get that.
I
got it.
No, I got
Humongous. On the George Soros, he said Israel was not capitalized NOT given to the Jews. It was taken by terroristic means and self-flagellating Christians like yourselves.
Yeah.
Defend a concept you do not even understand. Christians should not defend Zionism. Well, number one, humongous.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
But I'm not a self-flagellating Christian.
What does that even mean?
You know, where they whip themselves on the back
Yeah.
for they think it's a repentance.
Yeah.
I did bad. I gotta flagell myself.
No, me neither. Me neither.
So I'm not a self-flagellating. I'm
No,
not
I do
sure if
that,
he's
though.
just saying that. Huh?
I do that.
You do that all the
do
time.
that.
I do it on I wear this thing around my thigh. It's like barbed wire, and every time I walk, it just digs into me and bleeds.
Just cuts.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, I'm a self-flagellating.
Helps you know you're alive, dude.
Well, yeah. But hey, matter of fact, we'll probably get into this today. Our topic today is Israel. So, humongous, pay attention.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. So you said defend a concept you don't even understand. So I'm gonna give you some scriptures, and maybe we can understand things together. But I do know what he means about Christians should not defend Zionism, and maybe we'll get into that while we talk about the show.
Yeah.
Joey.
I kind of
His ears
understand
perked
that.
up.
I kind of understand that.
Well, some Christians aren't Zionists. I get that.
Exactly.
They're not.
There are a lot of them are.
It just depends if you read the Bible or not. You know what I'm saying?
It depends on if you're saved.
Just kidding.
All right, Vlad also made a comment. He's got a lot of comments in here. He looks like he binged. On the evolution episode, he said adaption, microevolution, is a changed expression according to pre-existing coding in the DNA. Evolution, macro, is the change expressed based on the new information in the DNA.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Vlad. Thank you. And on Atlantis, Vlad also said Atlantis was a pre-Diluvian before global flood. Changed my mind.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think we touched on that.
Yeah.
Atlantis had to be here before the flood. It was just, that's how it got wiped out.
There's that glizzy gladiator.
Oh, Glizzy's back. Here's Glizzy. On the Clones episode, Joey and Byron are legit. Jason needs to read a few books. He's the biggest moron I've ever heard.
Wow. That guy's so
Thanks,
mean.
Glizzy. Every time I read Glizzy, I'm just not 100% convinced that you're not the one behind this.
What do you mean?
I'm convinced that you've made these comments yourself. You are Glizzy Gladiator.
Why do you say that?
Because they're too dumb and
Spot
stupid.
on?
You're
Are they
not
too spot on.
No, you're not a moron. And it's just, I don't know, it's just too on the nose. Like, what, this one listener out there hates you? Really? No. And it comes on the heels of nobody ever talks about me. Nobody ever says comments about, remember that?
Yeah, that's true.
So I think
That's
you just
true.
made up this. I think you made up this arch nemesis on Spotify so that you've got somebody to spar against.
That
which
would
is
be pretty
Glizzy.
funny, though.
Glizzy Gladiator. Now, Glizzy, if you're out there and you are real, you know, take a shot
What
at
if
me.
that person?
Take a shot at me and Joey.
Glizzy, call when we have
Yes. Oh, perfect. In the future, maybe a couple episodes down, we're going to have a live number that you can call in, talk to us live when we're
Live
live
action.
streaming, and you can be part of the show. So, Glizzy, hold on to your hat. We're going to get you on the show soon. Okay. Well, and you proved me wrong about Jason.
And thanks, by the way, for saying I'm legit.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate
me and Jay.
it.
Yeah, Joey are legit.
Yeah,
Now-
because I want to talk to this guy.
Yeah, let's figure out what is going on.
Yeah, whoever he is.
All right, with
Booger.
love, on the clones episode, I bet the womb gives the best outcomes.
What?
Nutrients.
Oh, okay.
Parents' blood
My mind went somewhere else.
And
I was like, what are we
cells.
talking about?
that are shared, so forth.
That was an awkward
Yeah,
pause.
I see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would see that. Yeah, instead of some freak thing in a lab. Yeah. Future CCT. He's been on here a lot. He on the episode Clones. He said enough clones to make me a fire team.
Nice. I like that.
So yeah, he said I will clone myself
Yeah, absolutely.
with a fire team.
You're darn right.
Gus Van Dossler. Now, this is from Instagram. He said, hey, man, love the podcast. My name is Gus Van Dossler. I'm from Canada. I found your podcast recently. I almost listened to every episode. I am a professing Christian myself, so I love the Christian point of view on everything. Just wondering if you'd consider doing an episode on chemtrails. Heck yeah.
We should.
It's
yeah.
on the list.
That's
isn't
got, we
it?
got to get that on the list. Or whatever is left from planes flying through the sky. Could be pretty interesting. My father-in-law always talk about them, talking about chemtrails, and if they are indeed harmful or not. So it'd be
They're
cool
turning
to
the
hear
frogs
your
gay.
opinion.
They're turning the frogs gay.
Probably.
The chemtrails.
They probably got this stuff.
Yeah.
That
They're turning the frogs gay.
turn the frogs gay. I don't know how to say that.
Kryptonian.
These names.
Cryptito.
I'm just going to say Tito. From the rabbit hole, I miss Mike farts. And that's the comment we got there.
We do too. We love him.
Well, of course, the rabbit hole, we went hardcore farts again. So,
We did.
yeah. Daniel on the rabbit hole. Yeah, guys, this podcast was great. You should keep doing Down the Rabbit Hole. It's nice to hear your opinions on things going on in the world. It's also a break for the listeners to laugh out loud.
There we go.
There we go. We've got one that appreciated it.
I've read numerous ones. There's a lot of people that appreciate that.
Mr. Turkey's back. The rabbit hole. If you can't laugh at a fart, then you haven't lived, period. Love you guys. Keep the original like you have and are doing. If someone doesn't like the show, there are so many more, period.
Period.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Turkey. Natalia, rabbit hole. I love the rambling going on in the rabbit hole episodes. Keep doing them. Do the fart challenge. Thanks for the shout outs. You're welcome.
That's going to be a tough challenge, the fart one.
Oh, dude.
To try to time our farts in a sequence where we can just rapid fire. one
I'm going
right
to have to
after
eat
another.
something that day.
Bunch of chili.
Something to get me going. So,
The last guy, Brian
McCurdy?
can't even
Yeah.
finish the first 10 minutes.
oh, you're jumping ahead.
That's funny.
Chevy Mock, he's a friend of the family back in Alabama on Facebook. He on Flat Earth. He came across my podcast. He said, bro. Anyway, I just recently found your podcast and I've been hooked on it lately. A couple of guys at work are always talking about conspiracies lately, and they've been on the Flat Earth firmament thing. And it's kind of got me confused. LOL. I don't know what to believe. I just skipped ahead to y'all's Flat Earth episode to see what y'all had to say. Have you heard anything about the firmament, though? And of course, this was on Messenger, so I had a dialogue with Chevy,
Yeah.
and I told him about my thoughts about the firmament because it's mentioned in the Bible and
Yeah.
everything that I thought about that.
Cool.
So thanks, Chevy. Give you a shout out there. I don't know this guy. Let's just call him PD. I don't know where they come up with these names. I think somebody sits on a keyboard.
PDC
And whatever-
words.
Somebody sits on a keyboard, and whatever comes up, they say, that's my username. On MK Ultra, they said, thanks for the podcast. How about an FDA control of dietary advice? Yeah, absolutely. That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
How people are getting worse and worse, are getting worse health. Ansel Keys advised has killed millions. I don't know what Ansel Keys is. You guys? It's probably something in food.
I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Dale
I thought it was Alicia
Forster.
Keys.
I did too, and she has probably killed millions.
Yeah. Oh, keep going.
Yeah. Dale Forster 777 on the J6 episode, which we just released with Casey. Oh, shout out to you, Casey, for coming on the show. It was a great story you told. It was actually pretty. Actually, today's his first day. He turned himself in today to service
did he
to
really?
service 10 days. Yeah.
That sucks, bro.
Yeah. So
That just blew that whole episode blew my mind.
shout out to Casey. I know you're in prison. You're 10 days, and also linked up his GoFundMe page so people can support him legally. There you go. But Dale Forster said, truly great episode. This podcast just keeps getting better. This is my top pick. And of course, Jason already read Brian McCurdy from the Die Glocker episode said, I can't even finish the first 10 minutes.
I mean, it was tough for me too, man. It was
Yeah.
a bell flying in
Yeah.
the sky. Come on.
Anti-gravity. Look, really, like I told my son, because he got in an argument today with somebody in school
About the bell.
about the Die Glocker.
Are you
About the
serious?
anti-gravity, yeah. And he was like, well, absolutely, it's true. And then I told him, I said, look, how do you explain the oval-shaped Tic-Tac aircraft that flies around? They can turn on a dime. They can move all these crazy. That came from that research. Those aircrafts.
Yeah.
That's how they were. That's how, you know what I'm saying? That's where that research, those German engineers that we brought over, the Tic-Tac
Boom.
aircraft that's the work of those engineers in Area 51.
They went from a mushroom head to a tic-tac.
Well, of course they had to. Yeah, they were like, this bell flying around, it's kind of crazy. But
It's not aerodynamic. We need
yeah,
to
we need
change
to
it up a
do
little
something.
bit.
Burn.
tic-tac.
Okay, that is our comment section. Make sure you comment. You can put comments on Apple Podcast.
Joey, you commented on Mr.
Joey got in here?
Look at Joey's comment.
Which one?
Down, go all the way down.
Oh.
Yeah, dude. You know how it is. We'll get to that.
Oh,
We'll get to the bottom of that.
yeah. I like that.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
We have got that. Okay, so anyway, that's our comment section. If you, like I said before, you want to be part of the show, Spotify mobile app has the questions are open there. Also, you can go to Apple. I check all the places, and our Instagram and Facebook. You can message us there as well, and we'll get you on the show.
Glizzy.
Oh, Glizzy Gladiator, come on, bro. All right, let's talk about a little Israel. Y'all ready to get into it?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Okay. And I apologize for the listeners. I appreciate that segment
Yeah.
of the comments, and it's taken about 20 minutes, but we got
Skip
through it.
if you don't.
Yeah, skip through. Well, it's too late now. We should have told them at the beginning. I'll put a link. I'll put a disclaimer.
Yeah,
in
can
the
we do
description.
timestamps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, timestamps.
I'll do a timestamp. Okay, here we go. Israel. Who is this guy? Who is this person? Who is
Yeah.
this country? First of all, we have to go to the Bible because that's where it came
The
from.
Torah.
Yeah, the Torah, or the Torah.
The Torah.
Abraham.
If we want to be
Isaac,
more accurate, the Torah. because-
or not the Septuagint, but the Torah. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
That's who we're talking about right here. So
Boom.
if you go to the Old Testament, there's a man named Abraham. God said, I'm going to cut a covenant with you. I'm going to bring you out of this land that you're in. Come over here. I want you to serve me. And I'm going to make you a promise. You're going to have tons and tons of descendants, and you're going to be my chosen people. He came down. If you go read it, he came down and made a weird covenant. He cut a cow in half, just split it wide open. They were walking in the middle of entrails and guts. And God came down, and he was this glowing light. He went through it too, so they cut a blood covenant together.
Yeah.
And he didn't do just cows. He did doves and all kind of animals. Just split them right down the middle, like a lightsaber.
Solomon technique.
Just right in the middle. So he made a covenant with Abraham. So then he promised him and said, you're going to have a child.
Yeah.
And his wife's name was Sarah.
Yep.
And Sarah was like, you know what? We're getting on up in age.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to happen. And at one point, the Bible tells it that there were, I don't know if it was God. It said angels. They were divine creatures from not this world. She was like, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't think we can have a child. Have you seen my age? And she got chastised because she was laughing.
Yeah.
The angels chastised her. And so finally they got impatient. It was like, the son's not happening. I'm 99 years old. I'm like dry as a bush out here.
Hey, dry as Sahara, baby.
I'm not kicking it up, And then she was like, hey, you know what? Take my maidservant.
Yeah.
And,
And her name was Hagar.
go, yeah, Hagar. And that's where they get the comic strip Hagar.
And that's where Sammy Hagar got his name.
Right, exactly. And that's why he can't drive 55.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting that we don't wait and then we take things into our own hands and then we mess it up.
Yeah. I got you.
Because she wanted to take it up. She's like, nah, I got
She was
this.
like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this.
Yeah.
And what made her think that, hey, go have sex with my maidservant? That will be the promised child because it's from you.
Because we tell ourselves our little stories in our head.
So anyway, they had a child named Ishmael.
Yep.
And from my understanding, if you go down the descendants of Ishmael, matter of fact, I got this pulled up here.
Oh, you got it. You got it right there.
Yeah, the descendants of Ishmael.
I got it in my notes too.
Oh, you want to go over it or no? He was the son of Abraham.
Pull 'em
Hagar,
up.
go ahead.
Pull them up, bro. Scroll.
Read it like we're not.
Read it like we're not. Read it like we're not reading it.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me.
And this is just a quick
Overview.
synopsis of, what happened, because we're going to get to Israel, but this kind of happened. This is pretext. This is like the backstory, the origin story.
Yeah, what happened to Ishmael's line?
Right.
Yeah. So.
And why is it relevant? Yeah.
So Abraham, or in Islam, it's Ibrahim, Ibra with an I, Ibrahim, Ibrahim. According to Islamic tradition, the prophet Abraham is a central figure and is recognized as the one of great prophets. His story, including the construction of the Kaaba in Mecca, is recounted in the Quran. So it goes from Abraham and then Ishmael. He's the elder son, which is what we talked about. And then a guy named Adnan, Adnan, is a descendant of Ishmael and traditionally considered to be an ancestor of the prophet Muhammad. The lineage from Ishmael to Adnan, I can't even read that. Adnan is regarded as the Ishmaelite lineage.
Mm.
And then there's the Quraysh tribe. The Quraysh tribe, which is where the prophet Muhammad belonged to, a subset of Adnan's descendants. It was influential in pre-Islamic Arabia, and Muhammad was born into the Hashim clan of the Quraysh. And then obviously you got the prophet of Muhammad, and then he's kind of the creator of Islam.
Yep.
So
that was good.
Yeah. The popular theory is that Arab Muslims are direct descendants of Ishmael.
yes,
That's the popular theory. Although that some Arabians could trace their lineage back to Ishmael, not all Arabs are descendants of Ishmael.
yes,
So,
yeah,
but that's what we're talking about. So that's what happened there. They said, you know what? We can't do it. And then all of a sudden they were like, okay, we messed that one up. Let's try again. So they really tried, and they had Isaac.
yeah,
Isaac came along, and then, so the promise is there. He's having descendants. Then Isaac had twins, Jacob and Esau.
yeah,
Esau was described in the Bible as ruddy, very hairy, kind of reddish hair. So he was a man of nature. He liked to go on the wild. He liked to hunt.
Yeah.
He was a man's man,
Out there.
if you want to just out there. Jacob, fair skin,
Trickster.
liked to stay home.
He was a big trickster.
Yeah, he was a trickster because I can't remember but Jacob came last holding the heel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story. I'm holding on to the heel, trying to get first, as the twins.
So Esau had the birthright because he was the firstborn.
That's right, the firstborn. And then there was a problem there too, and you can go back and read this story. Esau came in from hunting one day, and he was like, "Dude, I'm hungry.
You got anything
I got
to
a
eat?
bunch of squirrels here, but they ain't ready. You got something to eat?" Because Jacob was there, and he was kind of from what I read, he's mama's boy because he kind of hung around his mom. And he was like, "You know what? I'll cook you something if you give me your birthright."
All right, man.
That dude was hungry. He gave him.
Sure does smell good.
Maybe he thought like, oh, he doesn't really mean that. It was just one of those where we're kidding around things.
Just an off the cuff thing.
Yeah, off the cuff. Like, yeah, if you give me your birthright, oh sure, yeah, and give me that soup.
I don't know. I don't think it was.
You don't think?
I think it was serious.
I think it would be with me.
I think it was serious. Yeah, maybe. But
You think they sat down and was like, I'll tell you what,
well, I mean
I'll give you
that
some
was
stew.
obviously important to that culture.
your birthright.
Your birthright. So I don't think it's something. Maybe it was. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Do you think? Do you think the birthright means everything that the father owns is it like an inheritance kind of thing? Like all these cows, all these servants, you're gonna have this one day because it's your right because I birthed you. Is that kind of it? Okay. So anyway, we got Esau and Jacob. So Jacob went off and formed the Edomites. Okay, he went off and formed his own clan, his own tribe. And actually, there was a whole contention between him and his brother for a long time. And I'm about to read in the story where the name Israel comes up because Jacob heard Esau was coming back, and it terrified Jacob because this is years went by. And he thought his brother was just mad at him. He's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's coming back, and he was terrified. That didn't happen. Esau had changed his heart or whatever, but that's another story. So the name change that happened with Jacob. Okay, so now that we laid the groundwork, Jacob's name was changed by God to Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're at. Jacob had a big family, and his descendants became known as the children of Israel or the Israelites.
Yeah, the children of Jacob.
Yes.
Which that's always like a crazy. I see you have that. Wrestles with God. Do you actually have that scripture in there?
Yeah, I got it right here. It's the name. You can find the name change in Genesis 32, 22 through 32. I'm going to read it. So the name Israel actually means he who wrestles with God. Okay. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this scripture from Genesis, and then we're going to talk about it because I got a few comments on this scripture and how to interpret things. Okay. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So this is this just to set up the story. Before this verse 22, Jacob is terrified. He has sent a lot of gifts ahead because Esau is on his way. That's kind of where Jacob is in his mind. Okay. So during the night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives. Oh, and by the way, I looked at a ton of translations.
Yeah.
Ton of translations to try to figure out, okay, which is the best one. And right here when it says he took his 2 wives, number one, that's weird. You got 2 wives.
Well, you
Okay.
remember the story of that, right?
Well, sure. I know. That's Leah and Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He got them by working for Laban.
For like 14 years.
Yeah,
man.
Laban. He's like, I'm keeping these. You talking about?
Double trouble, baby.
So, and it also says his 2 servant wives. A lot of translations say his slaves' wives, like their slave, like their property.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to mention that. But he took his 2 wives and his 2 servant wives and his 11 sons and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp where they were. A man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. Okay, now that's odd to me that they said, number one, you're alone in your camp. A dude walks up in your camp, because it says a man walks up in the camp and they start to wrestle. Now, I don't know if this is WWE or it's MMA or it's high school wrestling style. What do y'all think?
I think.
Do you think there was a lot of punching, or was it actual wrestling?
I think it was dudes wrestling on the ground in the mud.
Who do you think this man was?
Let's keep going in scripture. I don't know why it says man right here. This man came up.
Yeah, that's where some translations get it wrong. So
You mean this one right here in 24?
the man was, if you look up like the Strong's Concordance in the Hebrew
Okay.
meaning,
Talk to me about this Hebrew word.
the man was the angel of Yahweh.
Okay. So it translates that in Strong's, that word
It
man?
was a man, yes. But there's other scriptures. So like so Gideon in the Bible,
Yeah.
he speaks with a man or the angel of Yahweh. There's
Okay. So that
there's-
same Hebrew word
Yes.
translated and put a man is actually the angel of God.
Well, that's just, that's what.
Okay.
And the angel of God is like it was, so there's like tiers of angels when you read them in the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
The angel of Yahweh, this was without,
Getting
butchering
off
it.
in the weeds?
Without getting into the weeds, the angel of Yahweh was like considered the highest level. Like they would consider the angel of Yahweh God. So whenever the angel of Yahweh pops up in the Bible,
Would be dispatched to do so? Okay.
it was Jesus.
Right. So a lot of translations have put in interchangeable that with Jesus.
Wow.
Yep. So he wrestled with Jesus because Jesus is outside of time. Same thing. Jesus met with Gideon. Jesus met
And
with him.
so when to piggyback off of when it says man,
The dovetail.
Jesus was
Man. Yeah.
God in man form.
That's why it says he wrestled with God.
And
Which was
Jesus was
Jesus.
called the Son of
Yeah. Son
Man.
of God. Son of man.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Which is
They call him
crazy.
the Son of Man.
Because I would always read this when I was younger. I'm like, what the
That's what I was
heck?
reading there, because if you go down, I can actually consolidate this and come to a conclusion. Yes, that was God, even though it mentioned man up on that scripture.
Yeah. Which is crazy. That's a weird thing when you're studying your scripture, like the following the angel of Yahweh. There's numerous times where Jesus pops up.
That is. I want to get with you after this after we stop recording and track that down.
Okay. I'll show you.
That's pretty cool.
It's easy to track.
Let's see. And here's the other thing. It said
That's
wrestled
a
with
popular
him
belief.
until daybreak. So I was thinking it was a vampire.
That was Blade.
Because he was like, dude, the sun's coming up. I can't be out here.
I gotta go.
I'm about to burn up. Anyway, so when the man saw that he would not win the match, now that's crazy right
Yeah.
there. What are you talking about right now? Jacob was owning this angel dude?
Yeah.
What?
Throwing down, dude.
Are you kidding?
He was doing arm bars, karate kicks.
You know what? Somebody should put this on screen.
That's something we need to get to the bottom of right there, dude.
We need to get this on screen. Okay, he said he started figuring out, I'm not going to win this match. He touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of socket. So obviously,
So let me go back. Let's go back.
Obviously.
So there's a lot of interpretations.
you're right. There is going to be a part two, because
There's a lot of interpretations.
That's what I was trying to tell
we're
you.
just on Jacob right now.
Yeah, so a lot of interpretations when they said that he wasn't going to win. It was just Jacob's determination. He saw
okay,
that
I see
Jacob's
what-
determination was not going to.
So you're not saying physically,
right? No.
really?
Yeah.
It would never. And they fought the entire night, dude.
They did.
It was his determination, and that is why he's like, I'm going to touch this dude's hip. Just put him in some kind of.
So I got you. So not like literally, like, so if you think about it in your mind, well, there's no way Jacob is going to overpower an angel.
Right. No. it
From
was-
another dimension.
no.
So he was like, because apparently he said, let me go. So he's holding on to him the whole time.
Like
So maybe he did have the arm bar. And he was like, I could get out of this, but this dude won't quit.
He won't quit.
it's like
I could break his neck right now.
This
But he
dude-
won't quit.
what
I'm
he
going to
won't
touch
quit.
his hip.
Exactly. So that's exactly what
I
happened.
like that.
It reminds me of when Neo was fighting Mr. Anderson and when Agent Smith, and Agent Smith said, "Why won't you give up?"
Yeah.
And Neo
said-
said,
Because I choose to.
"Right, perfect."
Dang.
I know.
Some depth there, dude. Some depth there.
Okay.
That is interesting, though. It's always.
That is great right there. So it wrenched it out of socket. So now my hip's out of socket. Oh, my Lord. And then the man said, let me go. The dawn is breaking. So that's interesting there. The hip didn't work because he was still holding on. Even though he popped his hip out of socket, he still said, let me go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still holding on, bro. Take out the other hip.
Yeah.
I got some crutches.
I got arms.
What? The man said, let me go, for the dawn is breaking. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Well, that's another story right there. What does that mean?
It's
What-
beautiful. Actually,
What does that mean? I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. What did that mean? Like, you're going to bless me. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
do you want to get blessed, Tom?
Huh? Well, I've always heard the word blessed means happy. But so
Favor.
I think that
Favor.
means something else
It's
here.
favor.
Like, you're going to bless me.
It's
Like,
gonna favor.
I'm going to get something out of this.
It's favor. It's just
Okay.
it's favor.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. So Jacob said, no. What's that? Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. What is your name? The man asked. That's interesting.
These are rhetorical questions.
That is interesting. Did he know Jacob?
Yeah, of course.
Did he know his name?
Yes, he did. But then
Why is he
changes
asking
it.
him?
But then he changes it.
And he replied, my name is Jacob. And he said, your name will no longer be Jacob. The man told him, from now on, you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won. And then Jacob said, please tell me your name. Jacob said, why do you want to know my name? The man replied. That's an interesting comeback as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't want to tell him his name. He said, why do you want to know? What?
His time, because his time wasn't there yet, dude.
Why do you want to know my name? What, you think it was Raphael or Jesus?
I think it was Jesus.
100%
Absolutely.
it was Jesus.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Absolutely, it was Jesus.
Yeah, there's no.
Oh, you had to prove that to me in scripture, but that's another show.
It's not going to take long to prove it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not. We're telling you right now that it was Jesus.
Okay.
It's right now. It's all over the place, dude.
It is? Well,
Yes.
we'll go through it.
Angel,
that's not
angel
what we're
of
talking-
Yahweh
angel-
was Jesus.
Huh?
The angel of Yahweh was Jesus.
Okay.
I'll show you.
We'll get to it.
Hey, we'll
it's
get
not
to
this show.
listen, we'll
It's
get
not
to the
this
bottom
show.
of it. We'll get to the bottom of it.
He said, why do you want to know my name? The man replied. Then he blessed Jacob there. So hips out of socket. I'm not letting you go. What's your name? No, it's not Jacob anymore. You are Israel. Okay, I'm going to bless you anyway. Jacob named the place Peniel, which means the face of God. For he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared. The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury of his hip. And even today, the people of Israel do not eat the tendon near the hip socket because of what happened that night when the man strained the tendon of Jacob's hip.
How do you read that and not think it was Jesus, bro?
Well, this was the face of God.
I have seen the face of God.
I've seen the face of God face to face. I mean,
He has wrestled
How could
God
I-
and man.
yeah, but see, here's the other thing. I've read the other translation that said you
Well,
have
quit reading
struggled.
the other translations.
Well, I'm reading NIV. What do you want me to read?
ESV.
Yeah, that's what I'm
The ESV.
ESV.
or NASB, New American Standard.
The other one says you have struggled with God and men and have won. And I was thinking as I was reading this, all these translations today, and I was thinking, was he saying literally fighting right now, or he's saying through your life up to this point, you've been fighting with or struggling with God and men, and you have won all those struggles up to this point?
It could be any of those.
Could be both of them.
Okay. I've heard it both ways. All right, cool. So that is where the name Israel comes from.
Yeah.
And then Jacob had a ton of descendants. After this, Jacob had a lot of descendants. And those descendants from Jacob actually from when God promised Abraham that you're going to have a multitude of nations, this is the promise. When Jacob started having tons of descendants, those people became the Israelites, or the children of Israel. So Abraham,
the 12 tribes.
Yeah, there's 12 tribes. Do you want to list those off?
Yeah,
You have them?
I do.
And this is from Jacob,
This is from Jacob.
the descendants of Jacob. Go ahead.
You got Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, my personal favorite, and Benjamin.
I like a little
Is your
Issachar.
middle name Benjamin?
No, I wish it was.
Why is it your favorite?
Because my name's Joseph, dude.
Oh, Joseph, not Benjamin.
Oh, I think
Joseph's the
Benjamin's cool too.
favorite. Oh, they were saying it because of the coat of many colors.
Joseph and Benjamin were the only two that came from Rebecca.
Oh, that's right.
Joseph
You're
and
absolutely right. All the other ones
Benjamin.
hated him.
The only two. The other ones came from
What's
Leah.
funny is these tribes, they didn't like each other.
I like
did.
the tribe of Judah.
Yeah,
too.
praise him.
Praise
and Asher.
Asher. I like a little Asher.
Yeah.
You know, the Levites.
like 'em
so
all,
so
dude.
a lot of these come and they're specific. Like the Levites, they became the priest.
Yeah.
The Levites.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the other ones did. They like cut hair or do farm work or plumbing,
Yeah.
something like that.
I'm gonna
Each
look-
one of them had a tribe to do something. I'll go ahead and do this. Abraham had 8 sons. The record of these sons and their names are in the book of Genesis. First, he had Ishmael, who was the son of a slave woman, Hagar of Egypt. So Hagar was from Egypt. That was his mother. She was the slave of Sarah, Abraham's wife. When Abraham was 99 years old, Sarah miraculously became pregnant at age 89. Kind of told this story, but I'm recapping it. Then Isaac was born. Ishmael hated Isaac. He was jealous of Isaac because Isaac was not a slave child, but he was the special son of God's promise. That's why he was jealous.
Yeah.
Abraham had another wife, Keturah. Now, she had 6 sons by Abraham in Genesis 25. So of the 8 sons of Abraham, only Isaac was the son of Abraham and Sarah. That's important, those two. So Isaac was the son that God had promised, and that's why that lineage is so important, and that's why you got all these other factions outside of Abraham, even though he fathered a bunch of children that are envious and bitter because they're not the chosen ones. They're half, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm mad. My father's Abraham, but I'm not chosen. So I'm kind of upset about it.
I mean, I can.
Can you give me one of those
I
calves?
can understand that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's similar to the story of Joseph. Joseph, you know how
Josephus?
his brothers hated Joseph, and all the brothers, they hated him. So all the brothers hated Isaac, just like Joseph's brothers hated him. They sold him into slavery. Now, early in Isaac's life, Ishmael used to mock and make fun of Isaac. Now, Isaac was the first son of Abraham, and he was to be circumcised on the 8th day of his life. So 8 days, we're going to cut the foreskin off and make that covenant, because that was a covenant. Ishmael had been circumcised at the same time as Abraham.
Yeah.
So circumcision is mentioned first in Genesis 17 from then on. So all of Abraham's children and the slaves had to be circumcised, even as Abraham himself was. Ouch. I'm old, and that knife is dull.
Yeah.
Somebody knock me in the head, circumcise me, and I'll wake up later.
Did he do it himself, or
Well, that's a good question. Maybe he got a slave to do it.
did he just start chopping away and just?
Dude, talk
You know what
about
I mean?
talk about flagellating Christians.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Jeez.
say, dude.
So to this day, Jews are still circumcised on the 8th day. They've kept that tradition.
Yeah.
So now I don't know about this, but it says all the sons of Abraham except Isaac are the fathers of Arab nations, which that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And they're circumcised at age 12 or 13.
Wait, read that again. Read that again. What's it say?
All the sons of Abraham except Isaac are the fathers of Arab nations.
Oh yeah.
And those nations are circumcised at 12 and 13. Ouch. Easy, Dad. So that's Israel.
Yeah.
That's how the name was changed. So that's our lineage in the back. So if somebody's listening to the show and probably Israel is in the news right now and you're thinking, I just thought that was a country, we've just given you a backstory. We've given you an origin story.
It was a family.
Of how that name came along. And then as you follow the Old Testament, you see how God promised these descendants a piece of land that they could own and have, and they can go and take. And it was out of Egypt, because the whole lot of them were slaves. They had to get out of Egypt, then they had to go across the desert, and then they had to go back to the promised land of where their fathers used to be. And when they got there, they ran into some Canaanites and some people that were dang large, and we're talking giants, that was ruling the place. And then that brings us to Joshua. They took over, they finally defeated them, and then they were able to get their land that was promised to them. And then from then, it's been a moment of contention for everybody in that region to try to get this land.
To keep the land.
Yeah.
They had to take it away.
Yeah,
You know,
and you can
back and
see,
forth.
okay, the chosen people that descended from Jacob, and then you got all these other sons who were Abraham's. They're mad. No, oh, you're the promised one. Let me show you. And you got all these tribes that are trying to come against these chosen people to try to get that land, because hey, I'm Abraham's son. That's part of mine too.
Yeah.
So
I
now,
belong here. Yeah.
There's so much more. I mean, from the Romans.
oh, we're going to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot.
So if there are people out here that are listening and they don't believe the Bible, well, we've got some other records for you.
Yeah.
We've got some historical records that I'm going to mention where the name Israel has shown up in historical documents. You ready? Let's go. Wow, dude. You're right. Part 2. Wow. And we just read the scripture.
That's what I'm. Where
In the 13th century BCE. Can you look up that BCE, what that means? Because I was typing these notes up, and I know what BC means, but BCE, I'm not sure. Anyway, can you pull that up, Jamie? Anyway,
Jamie's pulling it up.
In 13th century BCE, an ancient Egyptian pharaoh named Merneptah commissioned a stele to record various military victories. Now, if you don't know what a stele is, it's basically a stone monument that's like an upright stone slab, and it's got writings on it and pictures and stuff.
Pause for 1 second.
Go.
BCE stands for before common era.
Okay, so there's an era that we get to that's not common,
Yeah.
and it's before that.
Used to denote years before the traditional Christian era.
They stopped.
Because it counts down, right?
They started using BCE because it used to be AD after death, and then BC was before Christ, and the scientific community has used that since the beginning.
Okay.
And then just up until recently, they changed it to BCE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for that, Jason.
The year numbering remains the same. For example, 100 BC is equivalent to 100 BCE, and 100 AD is equivalent to 100 CE.
Gotcha.
These notations
Okay.
are widely used in academic and intellect. Blah, 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 blah. There you go.
So this pharaoh had a stele, which is a stone monument. They write things on it. So he recorded victories.
And also the Catholic Church is the one that instituted the BC.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jason.
In the year Anno
So you do serve a purpose.
Domini.
Take that, gladiator.
Yeah. You
Gladiator.
I'm not an idiot.
I'm not a moron. Okay, so these writings that were on the stele, among some of the victories that he mentioned and wrote down was the defeat of Israel and Canaan. So we have a historical document, not in the Bible, that the name of Israel was out there. So it's not something made up by people. Now, the scribes that wrote this one down from that pharaoh, he didn't give us much other than that beyond a name. But later, there's a stele that's a bit more forthcoming. There's a Tel Dan stele, which dates back to the 9th century BCE, makes this reference, quote, I killed Jeroham, son of Ahab, king of Israel, and I killed Ahazai, son of Joram, king of the house of David, end quote. Historical document, we've got the name of Israel in it and the house of David. Okay, which suggests two things. Israel's probably a place after the Israelites that descended from Jacob. So if you read that quote that he wrote down of I killed the king of Israel, you can only conclude, oh, that was a place.
Yeah.
That they were residing. Okay. So number 2, there's archaeology. I can't say
Archaeology.
Archaeological.
Archaeological.
Thank
There
you.
go.
Got it. Nailed it. See, I'm the moron. Evidence dating back to the 9th century BCE for the biblical account of an Israelite king named David. We've
Yeah.
all heard that story, but that is historical documents that king lived.
Yes.
It's not just, oh, y'all wrote a Bible. I don't believe that. No, it's historical documents. So at that time, you may not know this. David's kingdom was split into 2 separate kingdoms around 930 BCE. There was a northern kingdom, which retained the name Israel, and then there was a southern kingdom, which was named Jerusalem. Which was Judah, which housed the city of Jerusalem. Both kingdoms were home to Jacob's descendants.
Yeah.
But they just got split up. Now, this is where it gets dicey. In 8th century BCE, Assyrians destroyed the kingdom of Israel, and only the kingdom of Judah survived. And
Isn't that because Israel, the kings of Israel,
they were horrible?
Yeah, they were being disobedient and
Yeah, they were horrible. If you read some of the...
When was that? Say
This
that
was
again.
the 8th century BCE. Assyrians destroyed the kingdom of Israel. Only Judah survived, and its territory became known as Judea, which is Greek for the word Judah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the Assyrians destroyed Israel. The people that lived, the people that were left over in Judea, those people were known as Jews. Okay? So the name Israel and Judah are ancient, and they denote places where Jews established a monarchy, King David,
Yeah.
and were established from at least the 12th century until today.
Yeah.
Historical documents, not just the Bible. Now, so what I just read, that's one of the main reasons that the 2 names are so important to Jewish people, is because it links their history to the present. They can look back and go, this is why it's important for us to be here.
Yeah.
Look at all this history and look at us today. We're still here. We're descendants.
Even though they were dispersed.
Right.
They were
At one
dispersed,
point, yes.
And state a nation, state of people.
Yeah, they were dispersed. Now, for over 3,000 years, the Jewish people have called the land of Israel their home, and the province Judea with Jerusalem at its heart. Even over time, when other nations would conquer and occupy this region, known as Judah, like King Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon, he referred to his invasion of the land of Hatti when he laid siege to the city of Judah. The Persians kept the name. So every time somebody would come and occupy this and take it over, they let them keep the name,
Yeah.
like Judah or Judea. Now, the Persians kept the name as well after they conquered the land. The Persians were huge from the 7th to the 4th century BCE. When the Greek and Roman empires came along in the 4th century, they kept the name and referred to the province as Judea.
Yeah.
So you got all these people. So if you look at history, you got Babylon, you got the Assyrians, you got the Persians, then you got the Romans just sweeping the land.
Yeah. Constantly trying to
Right. It's amazing. All right. So this is interesting here, and y'all track with me now. So I don't want to get lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
Okay. During the reign of King David, the Jews' biggest enemy was a group called the Philistines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember those? There used to be a giant. His name was Goliath. He was a Philistine.
Mm-hmm.
They came from a place known in Hebrew as Palashah. The word in Egypt is Palaset. And Assyrian, it's Palashut. Okay? So that's where the Philistines came from. Those are the words. So here's the question for you guys. Could the Israelites' ancient army, the Philistines, hold the key to the name Palestine?
Yeah.
I'll say probably. Don't have any firm evidence, but probably. So
I thought I had that in my notes. Hang on one second.
So most here, and then we're going to talk about scholars and historians. Number one, when I start mentioning historians, when they mention a guy's name historian, I'm like, how do you become an historian? Is that something you just start doing and then you announce to the world, hey, by the way, I'm Byron, I'm an historian. Why? Because I know stuff.
History.
Is that why? Just because you know stuff?
Yeah.
You've studied a lot?
Yeah. All that's history.
All right, most scholars believe that the Philistines made their way from Greece, the Greece region. You know where that's at, right? That's across from where Israel is at today, or the Palestine. They came from the Greece regions to the shores of Judea in the 12th century BCE, roughly around the time that Israel started showing up in recorded history. Now, because the Philistines, they didn't leave any written records, like the Hebrews, probably the Persians or the Babylons. They didn't leave written records. So we only have accounts from the people that they had wars with, like the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. All of these people had wars with the Philistines. And, of course, the Israelites. Now, what was known as Philistines in written records shows that they are not around any longer. So that means there's not a race of people called the Philistines today currently, because they seem to have disappeared from written records after Nebuchadnezzar destroyed their cities in 6th century BCE.
Yeah.
The people that are living in that region today, and I'm talking about Palestine, are not descendants of Philistines. That's not what I'm saying. What I am going to connect the word Philistine and that region and why it is called Palestine today. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Am I losing people?
No.
Okay, so how the Philistines did leave things behind, like pottery, temples, shrines, and a name, Philistine, which in the Greek became Palestine. So that's where we get the word Palestine, which we are seeing in the news today. Palestine and Israel, the Gaza Strip, and all that good stuff. Now, here we go. A Greek historian in the 5th century, Herodias, took a road trip around the Levant. Now, I had to look up what Levant was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know.
Me neither. What does it mean?
It's that whole region right there. If you got Syria, Jordan, Israel, kind of over here in Asia, that whole area, that's called Levant.
Okay.
And I didn't know that until I looked it up. I was like, what is that? He took a road trip and just kind of went around and just visited this whole region. And he recorded what he described. It sounded like when he recorded it for that region where Palestine is, like it was a modern day Israel, the way he described it.
Yeah.
But he called it Syrian Palestine in his notes for some reason. Now, I don't know why he didn't call it Judea like everybody else, but there are couple of explanations that maybe we can find out why he did this. Historian, see, here's another historian. They're all over the place. I think I'm going to be an historian one day.
Just changing names of places. Just
Lewis Feldman
no
and Bernard Lewis asserted. So these are two historians that's reading Herodias's road trip. Okay. They asserted that he was referring only to the coastline of that part of the region where the Philistine lived in cities like Jaffa, Ashkelon, and Gaza. And according to Feldman, Herodias didn't venture much further inland away from the shore to the majority of the Jewish province of Judea.
Yeah.
Now, that is backed up by 1st century historian Joseph,
Yeah, buddy.
Josephus Flavius, who said that the Greeks called that part of the country Palestine. So already the Greeks were calling this area Palestine.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, other historians like Martin Knopf and David Jacobson claim that Herodias's use of Palestine refers to the whole region. We're talking about Judea, Israel, that whole region, he was saying this whole region is Palestine, not just that little sliver
Yeah.
of where today you see Palestine on the coast. So they believe that the Greek name Palestine is actually an alternate name for the land of the Jews. So they were actually saying, everywhere I see Jews living, that's called Palestine.
Yeah. Kind of intermingled.
Yeah. Now remember, this is interesting. Israel means what? He who wrestles with God.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, the Greek word for wrestler is palasites. That sounds a lot like what?
That's true. That is interesting.
Palestine. Anyway.
That's crazy, man.
Question for the group. Here's a group question.
Some good notes, dude.
Is it possible that the Greeks called the land Palestine as a literal translation of the Hebrew word Israel rather than the explicit reference to the Philistines?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know.
So that's where we get the name. It's because of the Greeks. They were calling it Palestine all this time, the whole area. Okay, well.
I don't know how names are made or formed.
Well, Jason, son of Jay.
We're reading it right now. Historians come in. And
Historians.
they come in. They're like, this is Palestine now.
Jason means helper. Or,
Oh, does it?
no, I'm sorry. Healing means healing.
And it's the son of Jay. Was your father named Jay?
No,
Okay.
it's healing, and my son's middle.
Okay,
name is
so, all right, so I think that's very plausible that the Greeks call that whole area Palestine.
Yeah.
All right, so because in Herodias's description of the people when he traveled, did the road trip, the people living in Palestine, he made it sound like they were Jews. Because he said the people living there were circumcised. And later, writers like Ovid stated there was a seventh-day feast that he called it the Syrians of Palestine observed. That sounds like Shabbat. Every 7 days they're having a feast.
Shabbat Shalom.
That sounds like Shabbat Shalom. So I think those are a couple of reasons why that name Palestine got stuck around in people's minds. So now all of a sudden here comes the Romans. They came along. Now when the Romans came along, it got nasty.
Yeah.
It got ugly. Once they took control of Judea, the Jews actually fought pretty bitterly back. They fought really hard. And they fought back so hard that the Romans were like, oh, we got to shut this down. They actually destroyed the Jewish Holy Temple in 70 CE. And they took a lot of the Jews from their homes in chains and took them. That's where you get a lot of people that got dispersed from that land when Rome trashed this place.
Yeah.
So just like you see in the Old Testament, when you get people that they get the flame of rebellion in them. You've seen it from these old characters in the Old Testament. They just rise up and they just go ham on people, right? Well, that's what happened. There was a Jewish warrior named Shimon excuse me, let me get this right. Shimon bar Kabachach. Not sure if I said that right, but
Probably.
someone to get me. He led a strike force against the Roman occupier. His force gave the Romans hell. I mean, he was going ham on them. But unfortunately, the Roman Empire was huge. The resources they had were incredible. So they squashed this dude, Shaman Bar. I'm just going to call him Bar. He crushed the revolt, and they renamed the land of the Jews to Syria Palestinia. Syria Palestinia, which is a little play on Palestine, but they named it Palestinia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know why. No one knows why they named it that.
The devil.
But the historian, got a lot of historians in here, Louis Feldman suggests that the Emperor Hadrian, now at the time, Hadrian ruled from 76 to 138 CE. That Roman Empire, that was his rule. It suggested that he hated the Jews so bad, that's why he named it Palestinia.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of reasons. The Romans, including Hadrian, they were a big fan of the Greeks. So the Romans loved the Greeks. They were big fans of them. And the Greeks had used that name Palestine for hundreds of years to refer different parts of the land we know as Israel.
Yeah.
So they're just botching up names, the Greeks. Can't even get it right. So when Hadrian consolidated his territory, it made sense to adopt a name that had been used by the Greeks because they were fans of the Greeks.
Yeah.
So he already knew Palestine. The second reason is a little more nefarious and harder to prove. Louis Feldman wrote that the name change was deliberate. This is kind of what you were saying. Satan is the devil, right?
Yeah.
It was intended to sever all Jewish connections from the land, replacing Judea or Israel with the name of the Jews' ancient enemy, the Philistines.
Yeah.
Can't prove that, but that kind of makes sense. Like, it's almost like a slap in the face. Like, I'm not gonna, your existence, you're a thorn in my side. I don't like you. Guess what?
History has tried a lot of times to snuff out the Jewish people. Lots.
Oh, tons.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. How many times there's been attempts on genocide of them. And you have to wonder as a Christian why that is. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's a seed war.
It's a seed war, bro.
It goes all the way back to Genesis 1.
Genesis 1. Dude.
My seed.
Yeah.
It's all about the seed.
Anyway,
So
keep reading.
So when Arab armies swept through the Levant, we know what the Levant is now, in the 7th century, they adopted the name Syria Palestine into Arabic as Palestine. Then centuries came and went, and this region was traded over. Like you just said, this region has been traded over and over again with different empires. Somebody else will take it. Somebody else will get it. Arab dynasties will take it. Christian crusaders will take it. Ottoman Empire, they'll take it. So the region kept the name Palestine and its inhabitants. Arabs, Samaritans, Jews, all of them. They were known as Palestinians.
Yeah.
So modern day Israel was established in a region that was once known as Palestine, although there was never a self-governing Arab country named Palestine. The region's inhabitants were known as Palestinians.
Right.
Because of the Greeks.
Yes.
And
And
fast forward 1948.
right. And then I want since I read all of that, so we just tied in, where did the name Israel come from? Why did somebody come along and go, you know what? Those names aren't important. I think it's Palestine.
Why?
Who?
How?
Joey, I want you to talk about what you were talking to me last week about when the name was replaced. You remember talking to me about that?
I don't.
Oh God,
I don't. I literally don't.
you told me it was like an official thing.
Oh, when they actually became a nation in 1948?
I think so. And then why? Okay, so you were telling me about they changed the name. It was an official document, but then the Palestine, they allowed them to keep that section of land, even though they could have taken it themselves because it was part of that original heritage.
Yes. That we're gonna have to get into that next episode.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because
that may bring us up modern times.
it is modern times. So the deal is, so I'll just go through this.
I'll just say
quick.
I'm sorry if I bored everybody with that history.
No,
lesson.
that was cool. I thought it was awesome. Hopefully our listeners do.
That just kind of I feel like that was the
But
name where they got Palestine.
here's what
from,
we'll do.
Even though we're talking about Israel.
We'll bring it up to modern times, which is 1917. You talked about the Byzantine and Islamic periods. The land of Israel experienced shifts in rules, including the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic caliphates. The Crusades, you talked about that. Obviously back and forth. But the more important one is in 1917, the Balfour Declaration expressed British support for the establishment.
That's what you were talking about. The British. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, the Brits had control of the area.
Yeah, the British.
Thank you.
They were going to colonize the area just like they did.
You said they actually owned it.
Yeah, they did. Well, so which is interesting because the Ottomans, there was which we're going to get into
not
Ottoman Empire.
And we're not referring to the furniture.
Yeah, there was a, not the furniture. There was a guy that went to the temple, where the temple was, and tried to claim that he was God, and then immediately was taken over. And it's crazy how many times throughout history that has happened. But we can get into that. But anyway, in 1917, they expressed British support for the establishment of a natural home for the Jewish people in Palestine. The League of Nations granted Britain the mandate to administer the area. And then in 1948, the independence. So the Day of Independence is 1948. The State of Israel was officially declared on May 14, 1948. The declaration led to conflicts with neighboring Arab countries, resulting in the Arab-Israeli War. And then then, there has been wars like we're gonna do an episode on it because it has been since the beginning of
1948.
Yeah, their establishment, it's been about every 10 years, even less than that, of them trying to just absolutely snuff out. And I'm not talking about like Hamas in general, but all those surrounding nations have sworn to kill every single Jew.
Yeah. And so, like, right after, and there's a lot of things happened for 1948 to, come to pass. Just the Holocaust, Hitler, all of that stuff played a crucial part. Once Hitler was taken down, and there was Jews all over Europe, they needed a place to resettle them, and so this is how this declaration, this treaty with the European nations and the nations surrounding area came about, because they're like, well, why don't we just
somewhere to go? Yeah,
why don't we just take our homeland back? And then everyone was sympathizing with them at the time because of the Holocaust, because of the mass genocide that this came about.
Yeah,
and there wasn't much backlash or.
Yeah, let's not stop this because of what y'all just went through.
So
and to say this too, I know we'll talk about this next time, but as Christians, like we are Christian, and I know like Zion. We talked about a little bit about Zionists, the Zionist movement. That's the whole promised land of Israel to the Jews, basically. So the nation of Israel is not a religious nation; it's a secular nation. And I know that, there's faults on both sides of it. But me as a Christian, I try to hold to God's covenants with them, I guess. So when people ask, like, do you support Israel? I support God's covenants. So I don't know about you guys if you feel that way. And I know we talked a little bit about that.
That's something we'll have to get into next time.
But we'll get into that.
Maybe that show will be like modern day, where should everybody stand, or maybe make biblical references of why you believe what you believe.
Yeah.
But I had a question. I want to go back to 1948. Did you say that British owned the land before then?
Yeah. Yeah.
So did they occupy the land at all? Like normally British will go settle, like the Bahamas. They will, it was before they became a country or self-independent. British actually would set up their governorship. And how Britain would colonize people, they would go and take a territory, and they would make like the territory like it is back home.
With the infrastructure.
They turn it into Britain.
Yeah, basically. This ground is Britain. Y'all going to live like Britain.
Do you know where they didn't do that?
Where?
USA, baby.
No.
Yeah, yay.
No. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt had something to say about that. But that's what I was going to... I didn't know if they occupied and allowed the residents there to stay there, and they just was kind of we own this, and did they just give it back to them? Is that what happened in 48? That's what I'm kind of unclear on. What...
We'll clarify everything.
People can spend literally a lifetime following the history of this stuff. It's a lot of information. Even like looking into it, I'm like, my mind's blown. Because there's just been so many. It's crazy, which spiritually, it makes sense. Spiritually, it makes sense that this land here would be so coveted and warred over, because it's the promised land. It is the promised land.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to that. And we'll have
so definitely, so we're agreeing now there's going to be a part 2
yes.
on who is Israel.
Yes.
Okay, part 2. So stay tuned for part 2, guys. And like I said, leave us, humongous.
Yeah, we
humongous. Leave, put some stuff in the comments.
We can talk about the Yom Kippur War. You guys ever heard?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at that
I thought
at
that
all?
was a festival.
Well, it's a Jewish feast.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
And
feast.
there was this big attack on them
During it.
Okay,
gotcha.
when they were all celebrating this religious thing.
What year was this?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It's not current. Is it like in our century or?
Yeah.
Oh, it is really.
Yeah. They
okay.
tanks, all kinds of stuff.
They-
You know what I want to get into?
They did it last time.
What's
That's what
that?
I want to get into, like modern. When we start talking about next time, bringing it modern, like the weapons they have, the defenses they have,
Yes.
and all of that good stuff.
I'm going to talk about the wars.
Because you're talking about the Iron Dome.
Yeah, the Iron Curtain, Iron Dome, whichever you want to call
Talk
it.
about all the wars. Yeah, good.
It's going to be cool, dude. I'm excited. Tune in next week.
Yeah, tune. Is it next week? We should do it next week. Jason, what up? Jason's over here hugging the mic. Anyway, by the way, Jason has been really pressuring me to do video. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to build the studio out a little by little. I'm getting some camera angles up soon. I would say I'm gonna say 2024. I'm not gonna say 2023 yet. 2024, some point early 2020, maybe the first quarter. Let's go there. The first quarter, we're gonna start video and actually live streaming, and we're going to have a place where you can call into the show live while we're recording the show. Give us your comments, give us your thoughts about whatever we're talking about, or if there's something you just want to bring to the table and you just want to talk about farts.
June 32nd, 2024.
Oh, he dropped it.
It'll come out.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but anyway. Hey, guys, make sure you visit our website, bottomofthat.com. Check out our blog for all of our show notes and our resource material that we talk about on the show. From there, you can find our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute, and you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment, because when you leave comments, it's going to force the algorithm to share this content with other people that are interested in this content. So leave a comment. Now, if you're listening on either podcast platform, especially Apple, give me a 5-star rating and write me a review on what you think about this. That's going to help the algorithm go crazy too. Turn on notifications so you never miss when we publish an episode. You know what? If you didn't like this episode, I thank you for listening this long. And you can tune in next week. You might hear Joey say,
What?